So we all want to make money, right? And the whole point of starting a podcast or launching your podcast is to grow your audience and eventually grow your business and make money. Am I right? So in today's episode, I'm diving into how to use podcasting for your offer, your products, or your services, and how to actually present that within your podcast episode. So let's dive in. So what you want to do is first you want to think about what exactly are you offering. If you are a service provider, more than likely it will be to have someone book a call with you or discovery call or something to that nature. If you are presenting your own product, like say for instance you have a course or maybe a digital product, you want to think about that as well. What I like to do is when I'm getting ready to launch something or if I have an offer, I first write out what the offer is, and then I have a maybe like a little short sentence story behind it, and then have the call to action for them to download and where to download. So definitely write this down. That's what you want to have. Now, what you can do is once you sit and you write down whatever your offer is, there's couple of ways you can actually present it. So, number one, you can take that script or that paragraph script that you created or that offer that you created, and you can bake it within your episode. And what I mean by baking it or threading it into your episode is you can record your episode like I'm doing here, and you can casually like add it in. So you can casually bake it in. You can say, hey, thank you so much for listening to this episode. And while you're here, I have a da 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 da. Now make sure that your offer makes sense with the podcast episode. So what I mean by that is you don't want to have an episode where you're talking about, you know, maybe dog walking or dog grooming, and then you turn around and you have a offer to download your free keto guide. That just does not make sense. Okay. So don't do that. Make sure that your episode actually makes sense with the call to action that you're trying to get them to do. Okay. So I hope this is making sense. Okay. So another thing you want to have the link. So you want to have the link in the show notes so that they can easily click on it, or you can read off the link if you want to. You don't necessarily have to. You can just say click the link within the show notes and have your call to action for them to click the link in the show notes. You can definitely read off the website URL. You could go to hellosdorsey.com/offer or Disney guide or something like that. Yes, I love Disney. So another thing you can do, and I love doing this so much, is you can have a beginner role, a mid roll, and an end roll. Now I use Buzzsprouts for my podcast distribution platform. I love it so much. I teach my students how to use Buzzsprouts. I just love it because it's just so easy and it makes sense to use it. But with Buzzsprouts, they have what they call dynamic content, where you can go and if you have a Buzzsprouts account, you will go in, sign into your account, you will click on episodes, and then you will go to dynamic content. And under there, it has a pre-roll, a mid-roll, and a post-roll. Okay. So these you can actually upload your offer, your call to action. You can have like a mini ad for yourself for if you have like an event going on. You can record a mini audio snippet and you can actually state where you want to place that. So if you want it in the beginning of the episode, you can do so. If you want it in the middle of the episode, you can place it there. And if you want it after the episode, you can place there as well. Okay. So what you can do, you can mix it up a little bit. You can have a pre-roll, just a short, brief snippet of what the offer is. And then at the end, you can say, hey, just want to remind you that we're going live. The boot camp is, if you're offering a boot camp or you're offering a webinar, you can have like a reminder and you can put that in the post roll. Okay. Now, how you set this up, so super easy. You can have this set up to where as though you can have all of them, not all of them, I'm sorry, where you can have the pre-roll and the post-roll to play for all of your episodes. I know, cool, right? If you wanted to play for a certain episodes or a certain number of episodes or specific episodes, you can do that as well by applying it to, say you want to apply it to episode 20, 25, 26, and 30. Okay, you could do that as well. So it is so flexible how you can use this. Okay, I love it a lot, and you can switch it up anytime. And I've done both. So I've done where I've baked in a offer on my episodes, and then I've done it where I've done a pre-roll. I prefer the pre-roll, mid-rolls, and the post-rolls because I can remove that offer and then I can say, okay, now it's time to start promoting my boot camp. So I can switch it up. And then when I'm done with my boot camp, I can switch it back to, hey, download my lead magnet. Okay. Oh, this makes sense. I really hope this is really getting your creative juices flowing. Okay. Another thing, you can bring previous clients to interview them on your podcast. So this is great if you are a service-based business owner. If you have past clients, you can definitely have your past clients jump on the podcast with you. They can talk about how amazing you are. You can ask them questions as to where they were before they met you to where they are now. This is a great testimonial type of interview that you can do, and then this can definitely amplify the number of discovery calls and bookings just by doing these type of episodes. Okay, a lot of people do when they get ready to launch their course, they'll bring in past students, and then the students will talk about where they were and then where they are now after they've taken the course. Okay, so genius idea. Okay. Another thing you could do, you can teach something specific on your podcast relating to your service or your offer at the end. I said at the end, but you can actually just do a whole episode on that. You can teach something specific to whatever you do. So if you are a website designer, you can talk about the top 3 websiting design platforms you recommend and why you recommend them. If you are a podcast manager, like I am, you are a podcast manager, you can give tips on which microphones is best to use, which I did. I have some episodes regarding that, so definitely check those out. If you are a coach, you can talk about the 5 ways. It depends on what type of coach you are. So if you're a productivity coach, 5 different ways to increase time and to decrease work or something like that, to decrease frustration. I am like horrible with niches. But you can do that. Be creative with it. Like there is no set way to run your podcast. I've listened to podcasts where people have literally coached people live on their podcast, and that has really amplified their business so much. I've watched YouTube channels where people have coached people on their business via YouTube and just like crush their business, like just destroy them right on camera, but brought them back up as to like what they need to do to make things better. So it's so many different ways you can do this. You can also do a video podcast showing a training. So this would be like a YouTube type of thing, right? So you can have a YouTube channel where you're doing nothing but trainings, and then you can actually take that audio and put it into a podcast form. But you can still have the YouTube podcast as a video. You could do a free mini workshop, and then you can take that audio, put it into your podcast player or your podcast distribution channel, whichever platform you're using, and then also that YouTube podcast video is rolling as well. So for my service providers, if you're going to do a video on YouTube, you can take the YouTube video, go ahead and do the tutorial. My suggestion is to talk every time you do a click and tell people exactly where you're going in the click. Like, how can I explain it? Tell people exactly where you're going on the screen, how the screen look. If you're going to use the audio, repurpose the audio, you would definitely have to be more detailed in your training video so that people who are listening can get the idea, can see how you're maneuvering throughout the page. Okay. I know that might be a little bit difficult to do, but it's doable. And like I stated earlier, make sure no matter what you post either your calendar link, your email address, if hey, send me an email, or your URL in the show notes. If you mention it, the URL, go to www.hellocsdorsey.com/go or /download or however you have it. Make sure you mention that and also mention that it's in the show notes as well. So to recap, what you want to do is make sure you link the link in the show notes. You want to add a beginner role, mid role, end role. If you want to add it as a form of an ad, you can do that. You can bring clients to interview them on your podcast. You can teach something specific on your podcast related to your services. And you can also do a YouTube training video, which you then can turn it into a audio podcast. So I hope this was helpful. I know I gave you a lot of things to think about, but these are some of the things that you can do to offer your services or your products on your podcast. I hope this was helpful and tune in to next week's episode. Bye.